India's fastest growing industry is not tech or finance, it is content.
But if you're a top tier YouTuber, you're making more money than most actors that you see.
लोगों को लगता है मैं पैसा छापता हूँ मैं चलता हूँ तो फर्शों पे गिर रहा पैसा
12 करोड़ रुपए कमाए एंड इस साल वो नंबर 27 करोड़ रुपए हो चुका है.
India's creator economy is expected to be worth around $100 to $125 billion by 2030. By the same year, it is also expected to influence consumer spending of over $1 trillion. It is no longer just a fad. It is a full-fledged industry and a critical pillar of modern business strategy. Even as of today, nearly 50,000 crores of ad spend is enabled through this content creation economy. It is an industry creating both multi-millionaires.
If you're in the top 5-10% of creators, you can make over $1 million a year. Comf.
And millions of jobs. But what is even more fascinating is just how fast this industry has grown. Today, 57% of Gen Zs want to be influencers or content creators when they grow up. But just a decade ago, most people would have laughed at the idea of creating YouTube videos or Instagram Reels for a living. In fact, Reels did not even exist back then. In this video, we would be looking at three things: the rise of content creation, the economics of the creator economy, which is the analytical part full of numbers, and lastly, the future of it. That said, let's get started. Let's rewind to the early 2010s. Things were going slow in the content creation landscape of India. A few bloggers, a handful of YouTubers, and barely any brands taking them seriously. It was all just a fad. But then came 2016, and with it, the Geo wave. Suddenly, internet became dirt cheap in India and widely available. This was quickly followed by the rise of affordable smartphones, bringing millions of Indians online for the very first time. The result? An unprecedented rise in the number of internet users. The number of internet users in India more than doubled from 340 million in 2016 to 700 million by 2020. And at this point in time, OTT platforms like Netflix and Prime Videos was largely very niche, expensive, and English centric. But what about YouTube? Free, local, and always available. The next boost came with the COVID-19 pandemic. The world was shut down and our screens, well, they lit up. Locked indoors, people were consuming more content than ever. And this rise in demand was also met with a substantial rise in supply. Everyone from students to stand-up comics to chefs and teachers started creating YouTube and Instagram videos. This is when content creation went from being a side hustle to a serious career option. For the first time, influencer became a real job title amongst the masses. Now let's get to the economics of it. Well, if you think about it, there is fundamentally nothing new about the content creation economy. The core of it remains the same: eyeballs and attention. Wherever there are eyeballs, there is money. And wherever there is attention or an audience, companies would always flock to capture it in an attempt to gain brand recognition or to sell their products and services. TV, radio, and newspaper, the traditional media world, also was built around the same principle. But what makes the modern creator economy so powerful and disruptive is that it does a much better job than traditional media, both for advertisers and for creators. Now, there are three ways that modern creator economy does a much better job than traditional media. Firstly, through democratization. Now, this democratization is not just great for content creators, but also for companies. Back in the days, if you wanted to be seen or heard, you had to go through gatekeepers, media houses, casting agencies, and production studios. Today, well, all you need is a smartphone, an internet, and a voice. Anyone, regardless of their age, city, caste, or class, can build an audience. And this isn't just great for creators, it is a big win for companies. How? Because now brands can tap into micro communities and hyper local creators who connect deeply with that specific audience. Let's say a fashion blogger from Indore, a gaming creator in Kochi, or a tech reviewer in Guwahati. If you wanted to sell to people in that community, these alternatives are much better than traditional media. The second and perhaps the game changer is data. When you run an ad on YouTube or Instagram, you're not just broadcasting your message, but you're profiling. Let me explain. You can choose the region you want your ad shown in, the age group that you want to target, the languages, interests, and even the type of content that your audience engages with. Could traditional media do this? Absolutely not. With digital content, everything is trackable. Data has turned advertising from a shot in the dark to a precision weapon. Let's say I wanted to advertise my book, The Rise of Gautam Adani. Earlier, I could at best advertise it through business newspapers or a TV channel like CNBC, right? Now I can go ahead and target people, say an English speaking audience who is interested in reading business case studies on people and companies similar to the Adani Group. In the process, I can also get a ton of data on the region, age group, and type of audience who is buying my book and engaging with my content. What can I do with this data? Well, I can improve my next ad. Isn't that awesome? Now, with regards to this, there is a famous saying in marketing, and that also brings us to our third point: cost efficiency and budget flexibility. Half the money I spend on advertising is wasted. I just don't know which half. This was the reality in the era of TV, print, and radio. But with content creators and digital platforms, you can start with 500 rupees or 50 lakh and measure every single rupee and adapt over time. You can test ads, scale what works, and kill what doesn't almost instantly. You don't need a massive budget anymore to reach the right set of people. This is a game changer for brands, but this is also a great way for content creators to make money. The audience is what helps them make money in four ways primarily. Firstly, through ads that get run on your content, particularly on YouTube. The second is through sponsorships, which is basically a company paying a creator for a dedicated brand video or just to have a mention in their video. The third way is through affiliate. A lot of times creators attach links of products and services that you can just go ahead and buy. And if you buy that product or service from their link, they make money. The fourth and the most interesting is leveraging their audience or distribution to sell their own products or services, such as merchandise, courses, and so on. How much money do they make? Well, this differs drastically based on their audience, their reach, their negotiation skills, the platform, and so on. There are a whole ton of videos on this, but in my opinion, I found this video by Varun Maya to literally be amongst the best. So if you're interested, do definitely check it out. But yes, for a creator with a reach of say over 100,000 people, particularly on YouTube, they can easily make it a full-time career. They can easily net more than a lakh a month. But it is not just the money that content creators make. The content creation ecosystem contains a lot more players than just the creators. There are content writers involved when it comes to scripting. There are people behind the camera managing audio and the camera while shooting. Freelancers or an entire team involved when it comes to editing and designing thumbnails. And finally, there is the page management side of things, the business side of things. It involves various activities like community management, handling brand deals, and so on. This is also where a ton of agencies step in, and they are called influencer marketing agencies. These firms basically bridge the gap between the content creators and the brand. Now, influencer marketing as a business is much bigger than you can imagine. As of last year, it is worth $21 billion globally, and it is expected to reach $400 million or 3,400 crores in India by 2026. There are also several jobs and business opportunities that this creator economy has indirectly created. For instance, the products and services that are used in the process. Rode Microphone is just a classic example of this. The company is now valued at over $1.5 billion, and most of this growth can be attributed to the rise in the creator economy. Now, enough about the past and the present. Let's talk briefly about the future. I believe that we are just scratching through the surface. Even as of 2025, out of a total of 1 lakh crore in annual ad spends, 28% of it went to television, 17% went to print media, and 6% to radio. The share of digital media stands at 49%, and I see it growing substantially in the coming years. The global average for this is at 75% as against the 49% in India.